This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recorded by Gwen in Washington, D.C. on May 28, 2006. The Canterbury Tales by Geoffrey CHAUCER. Edited by D. Laing Purves. This book is based on the book The Canterbury Tales and Other Poems. The original text contains poems by Chaucer and a lot of notes and explanations by the editor. To view these, please click on the Gutenberg e-text on the LibriVox catalog page of the Canterbury Tales. The Shipman's Tale. Our host upon his stirrups stood anon, and said, "Good men, hearken every one. This was a thrifty tale of the knowns. Sir parish priest," quoth he, "for God's bones, tell us a tale, as was thy forward yore. I see well that ye learned men in lore can much good by God's dignity." The parson him answered, "Bendicity. What ails the man so sinfully to swear?" Our host answered, "O Jenkin, be ye there?" "Now, good men," quoth our host, "hearken to me. I smell a lollard in the wind," quoth he. "Abide, for God's staying passion, for we shall have a predication. This lollard here will preachen us somewhat. Nay, by my father's soul, that shall he not." Said the shipman, "Here shall he not preach. He shall no gospel glose hear nor teach." "We all believe in the great God," quoth he. "He would sow some difficulty, or sprinkle cockle in our clean corn. And therefore, host, I warn thee beforn, my jolly body shall a tale tell, and I shall clink you so merry a bell, that I shall waken all this company. But it shall not be of philosophy, nor of physic, nor terms quaint of law. There is but little Latin in my maw." The Tale. A merchant whilom dwelled at Saint Denis, that rich was, for which men held him wise. A wife he had of excellent beauty, and companionable and revellous was she, which is a thing that causeth more dispence than worth is all the cheer and reverence that men them do at feasts and at dances, such salutations and continences, passen as doth the window on the wall, put woe in him that pay must for all. The selly husband algate he must pay, he must us clothe, and he must us array, all for his owen worship richly, in which array we dance jollily. And if that he may not, paraventure, or else list not such dispense endure, but thinketh it is wasted and y lost, then must another pay for our cost, or lend us gold, and that is perilous. This noble merchant held a noble house, for which he had all day so great repair, for his largesse, and for his wife was fair, that wonder is, but hearken to my tale. Amonges all these guestes, great and smale, there was a monk, a fair man and a bold. I trow a 30 winter he was old, that ever in one was drawn to that place. This young monk, that was so fair of face, acquainted was so with this good man, since that their first knowledge began, that in his house as familiar was he, as it is possible any friend to be. And for as muchel as this good man, and eke this monk, of which that I began, were both the two y born in one village, the monk him claimed as for cousinage. And he again him said not once nay, but was as glad thereof as fowl of day, for to his heart it was a great pleasance. Thus be they knit with etern' alliance, and each of them gan other to assure of brotherhood while that their life may dure. Free was Dan John, and namely of dispense, as in that house, and full of diligence, to do pleasance, and also great custage. He not forgot to give the least page in all that house, but, after their degree, he gave the lord and sithen his meinie. When that he came some manner honest thing, for which they were as glad of his coming, as fowl is fain when that the sun upriseth. No more of this now, for it sufficeth. But so befell this merchant on a day, shop him to make ready his array, toward the town of Bruges for to fare, to buy there a portion of ware, for which he hath to Paris sent anon a messenger, and prayed hath Dan John that he should come to Saint Denis and play with him and with his wife a day or tway, ere he to Bruges went in alle wise. This noble monk, of which I you devise, had of his abbot, as him list licence, because he was a man of high prudence, and eke an officer out for to ride, to see their granges and their barns wide. And unto Saint Denis he came anon, who was so welcome as my lord Dan John, our dear cousin, full of courtesy. With him he brought a jub of malveise, and eke another full of fine vernage, and volatile, as aye was his usage. And thus I let them eat, and drink, and play, this merchant and this monk, a day or tway. The third day the merchant up ariseth, and on his needes sadly him adviseth. To up into his contour house went he, to reckon with himself, as well may be, of thilke year, and that it with him stood, and how that he dispended bad his good, and if that he increased were or non his books and his bags many a one. He laid before him on his counting board, full rich was his treasure and his hoard, for which full fast his contour door he shet, and eke he would that no man should him let of his accounts for the meantime, and thus he sat till it was past prime. Dan John was risen in the morn also, and in the garden walked to and fro. He had his things said full courteously. The good wife came walking full privily into the garden, where he walked soft, and him saluted, as she had done oft. A maiden child came in her company, which as her list she might govern and gie, for yet under the yard was the maid. "O dear cousin mine, Dan John," she said, "what aileth you so wrath for to arise?" "Niece," quoth he, "it ought enough suffice 5 hours for to sleep upon a night, but it were for an old appalled wight, as be these wedded men that lie and dare, as in a form sits a weary hare, all forstraught with hound great and small. But, dear niece, why be you so pale? I trow certes that our good man hath you so laboured since this night began, that you were need to rest hastily." And with that word he laughed full merrily, and of his owen thought he waxed all red. This fairen wife gan for to shake her head, and said thus: "Yea, God wot all," quoth she. "Nay, cousin mine, it stands not so with me, for by that God that gave me soul and life, in all the realm of France there is no wife that lessen lust hath to that sorry play. For I may sing alas and well away, that I was born but to no wight," quoth she. "Dare I not tell how that it stands with me? Wherefore I think out of this land to wend, or elles of myself to make an end, so full am I of dread and eke of care." This monk began upon this wife to stare, and said, "Alas, my niece, God forbid that ye for any sorrow or any dread fordo yourself, but tell me your grief. Paraventure I may in your mischief counsel or help, and therefore tell me all your annoy, for it shall be secre. For on my portos here I make an oath, that never in my life, for lief nor loath, nay, shall I of no counsel you bewray." "The same again to you," quoth she. "I say, by God and by this portos I you swear, through men me woulden all in pieces tear. Nay, shall I never, for to go to hell, bewray one word of things that ye me tell, for no cousinage nor alliance, but verily for love and affiance." Thus be they sworn, and thereupon they kissed, and each of them told other what them list. "Cousin," quoth she, "if that I had space, as I have none, and namely in this place, then would I tell a legend of my life, what I have suffered since I was a wife. With mine husband all be he your cousin. Nay, quoth the monk, by God and Saint Martin, he is no more cousin unto me than is this leaf that hangeth on the tree. I call him so by Saint Denis of France, to have the more cause of acquaintance of you, which I have loved specifically, aboven all women sickerly. This swear I you on my profession. Tell me your grief, lest that he come adown, and hasten you to go away anon. My dear love, quoth she, O my Dan John, full lief were me this counsel for to hide, but out it must, I may no more abide. My husband is to me the worst man that ever was since that the world began. But here I am a wife, it sits not me to tell no whit of our privity, neither in bed nor none other place. God shield I should tell it for his grace. A wife shall not say of her husband but all honor, as I can understand, save unto you thus much I tell shall, as help me God, he is not worth at all, in no degree, the value of a fly, but yet me grieveth most his niggardly. And well ye wot that women naturally desire things six as well as I. They would that their husbands should be hardy and wise and rich, and therefore free, and buxom to his wife, and fresh in bed. But by that ilk Lord that for us bled, for his honour myself for to array, on Sunday next I must needs pay 100 francs, or else I am lorn. Yet were me lever that I were unborn, then me were done slander or villainy, if mine husband eke might it espy. I were but lost, and therefore I you pray, lend me the sum, or else must I die. Dan John, I say, lend me these 100 francs. Pardie, I will not fail you my thanks, if that you list to do that I you pray. For at a certain day I will you pay, and do to you what pleasance and service that I may do, right as you list devise. And but I do, God take on me vengeance, as foul as ever had Ganilion of France. The gentle monk answered in this manner, Now truly, mine owen lady dear, I have, quoth he, on you so great ruth, that I you swear and plight you my truth, that when your husband is to Flanders fair, I will deliver you out of this care, for I will bring you 100 francs. And with that word he caught her by the flanks, and her embraced hard, and kissed her oft. Now go your way, quoth he, all still and soft, and let us dine as soon as that ye may, for by my cylinder 'tis prime of day. Go now, and be as true as I shall be. Now elles God forbid, sir, quoth she. And forth she went, as jolly as a pie, and bade the cookes that they should them hie, so that men might dine, and that anon. Up to her husband is this wife gone, and knocked at his contour boldly. Qui est là? quoth he. Peter, it am I, quoth she. What, sir, how long all will ye fast? How long time will ye reckon and cast your sums, and your books, and your things? The devil have part of all such reckonings. Ye have enough, pardie, of God's sond. Come down to earth, and let your bag stond. Nay, be ye not ashamed that Dan John shall fasting all this day ylang gone. What, let us hear a mass, and go we dine. Wife, quoth this man, little canst thou divine. the curious business that we have, 4 of us chapmen, all so God me save, and by that Lord that clapped is Saint Ive, scarcely amonges 20, 10 shall thrive, continually lasting unto our age. We may well make cheer and good visage, and drive forth the word as it may be, and keepen our estate in privity, till we be dead, or else that we play a pilgrimage, or go out of the way. And therefore have I great necessity upon this quaint world to advise me, for evermore must we stand in dread of hap and fortune in our chapman head. To Flanders will I go to morrow at day, and come again as soon as e'er I may. For which, my dear wife, I thee beseek, and to every wight buxom and meek, and for to keep our good be curious, and honestly govern well our house, thou hast enough in every manner wise, that to a thrift household may suffice. Thee lacketh none array, nor no vitale, of silver in thy purse thou shalt not fail. And with that word his contour door he shet, and down he went, no longer would he let. And hastily a mass was there said, and speedily the tables were laid, and to the dinner fast they them sped, and richly this monk the chapman fed. And after dinner Dan John soberly this chapman took apart, and privily he said him thus: "Cousin, it standeth so, that well I see to Bruges ye will go. God and Saint Austin speed you and guide. I pray ye, cousin, wisely that ye ride. Govern ye also of your diet, attemperly, and namely in this heat. Betwixt us two needeth no strange fare. Farewell, cousin, God shield you from care. If anything there be, by day or night, if it lie in my power and my might, that ye me will command in any wise, it shall be done, right as ye will devise. But one thing ere ye go, if it may be, I would pray you for to lend to me 100 francs for a week or twy, for certain beasts that I must buy, to store with a place that is ours. God help me so, I would that it were yours. I shall not fail surely of my day, not for 1,000 francs a mile way. But let this thing be secret, I you pray, for yet tonight these beasts must I buy, and fare now well, mine owen cousin dear. Grand mercy of your cost and of your cheer." This noble merchant gentilly anon answered and said, "O cousin mine, Dan John, now sickerly this is a small request. My gold is yours, when that it you lest, and not only my gold, but my chaffare. Take what you list, God shield that ye spare. But one thing is, we know it well enow, of chapmen, that their money is their plow. We may creance, well we have a name, but goldless for to be, it is no game. Pay it again when it lies in your ease. After my might, full fain would I you please. These 100 francs set he forth anon, and privily he took them to Dan John. No wight in all this world wist of this loan, saving the merchant and Dan John alone. They drink and speak and roam a while and play, till that Dan John rode unto his abbay. The morrow came, and forth this merchant rideth to Flanders ward, his prentice well him guideth, till he came unto Bruges merrily. Now went this merchant fast and busily about his need, and bide and creanced. He neither played at the dice nor danced, but as a merchant shortly for to tell, he led his life, and there I let him dwell. The Sunday next the merchant was y gone. To Saint Denis y comen is Dan John, with crown and beard all fresh and newly shave. In all the house was not so little a knave, nor no wight else that was not full fain, for that my lord Dan John was come again. And short to the point right for to gone, the fair wife accorded with Dan John, that for these 100 francs he should all night have her in his arms bolt upright. And this accord performed was indeed. In mirth all night a busy life they lead, till it was day that Dan John went his way, and bade the miney farewell have good day. For none of them, nor no wight in the town, had of Dan John right no suspicion. And forth he rode home to his abbay, or where him list, no more of him I say. The merchant, when that ended was the fair, to Saint Denis he gan for to repair, and with his wife he made feast and cheer, and told her that chauffer was so dear, that needs must he make a chevisance, for he was bound in a recognisance to pay 20,000 shields anon, of which this merchant is to Paris gone, to borrow of certain friends that he had a certain francs, and some with him he lad. And when that he was come into the town, for great cherte and great affection unto Dan John, he went first to play, not for to borrow of him no money, but for to weet and see of his welfare, and for to tell him of his chauffer, as friends do when they meet in fear. Dan John him made feast and merry cheer, and he him told again full specially how he had well y bought and graciously, thanked be God, all whole his merchandise, save that he must in all manner wise maken a chevisance as for his best, and then he should be in joy and rest. Dan John answered, "Certes, I am fain that ye in health be come born again, and if that I were rich, as have I bliss, of 20,000 shields should ye not miss. For ye so kindly the other day lent me gold, and as I can and may, I thank you by God and by Saint James. But natheless I took unto our Dame, your wife at home, the same gold again, upon your bents she wot it well certain, by certain tokens that I can her tell. Now by your leave I may no longer dwell. Our abbot will out of this town anon, and in his company I must gon. Greet well our Dame, mine owen niece sweet, and farewell, dear cousin, till we meet." This merchant, which that was full ware and wise, creanced hath and paid eke Paris to certain Lombards ready in their hond the sum of gold, and got of them his bond, and home he went, merry as a popinjay, for well he knew he stood in such array, that needs must he win in that voyage 1,000 francs above all his costage. His wife full ready met him at the gate, as she was wont of old usage algate, and all that night in mirth they beset, for he was rich and clearly out of debt. When it was day, the merchant gan embrace his wife all new, and kissed her in the face, and up he went and maked it full tough. "No more," quoth she, "by God ye have enough." And wantonly again with him she played, till at the last this merchant to her said, "By God," quoth he, "I am a little wroth with you, my wife, although it be me loth. And wot ye why? By God, as that I guess, that ye have made a manner strangeness betwixt me and my cousin Dan John. Ye should have warned me ere I had gone, that he you had 100 francs paid. By ready token he had him evil apaid. For that I to him spake of chevisance, he seemed so as by his countenance, but natheless By God of heaven king, I thought not to ask of him no thing. I pray thee, wife, do thou no more so. Tell me alway, ere that I from thee go, if any debtor hath in mine absence y paid thee, lest through thy negligence I might him ask a thing that he hath paid. This wife was not afeared nor afraid, but boldly she said, and that anon, "Mary, I defy that false monk Dan John. I keep naught of his tokens, never a deal. He took me certain gold, I wot it well. What evil the dumb on his monk's snout! For, God it wot, I weened without doubt that he had given it me because of you, to do therewith mine honour and my prow, for cousinage, and eke for belle cheer, that he hath had full often here. But since I see I stand in such disjoint, I will answer you shortly to the point. You have more slack debtors than am I, for I will pay you well and readily, from day to day, and if so be I fail, I am your wife, score it upon my tail. And I shall pay as soon as ever I may, for, by my troth, I have on mine array, and not in waste, bestowed it every deal. And for I have bestowed it so well, for your honour, for God's sake I say, as be not wroth, but let us laugh and play. Ye shall my jolly body have to wed. By God, I will not pay you but in bed. Forgive it me, mine owen spouse dear, turn hitherward, and make better cheer." The merchant saw none other remedy, and for to chide it were but a folly, since that the thing might not amended be. "Now, wife," he said, "and I forgive it thee, but by thy life be no more so large. Keep better, my good, this give I thee in charge. Thus endeth now my tale, and God us send tailing enough until our lives end." End of the Shipman's Tale.